Good afternoon and welcome to All About Animals. I'm Sherry Graditor. And I have two guests with me today. I have Jenny Wendel on this side and Chris, give me your last name again.
Wegener.
Wegener on that side. And they are from Praise Dog Training, which is a unique training organization in that they train in a home rather than in a training facility, and can deal with issues that come up in homes as well as those which come up in a training facility. Basically, we're here because about a week ago someone came up to me and said, kind of like to adopt a shelter dog, but how long does it take to get over the problems that they have? And I got a little bit hot and I said, not all shelter dogs have problems. And then I started to think about it and I thought, some of them do. And some of the dogs that are in shelters because their people couldn't deal with their problems. And I find it real hard to believe that there's a problem that can't be dealt with. And if you can't do it on your own, then by gosh and by golly, it's time to look at a professional. Therefore, ta-da! We have professionals to talk to about what kinds of things we can deal with the shelter dog, but even pre-shelter with your own pet, to make that animal part of your family and something that you enjoy loving, that you enjoy bonding with, instead of a problem. Jenny, if you had to think about what the biggest problems that people have, and let's do it the easy way. We're going to start with puppies and then we'll go to dogs.
Okay.
So, what are the biggest problems that people run into with puppies that make them want to tear their hair out?
Housebreaking, going in the house, chewing, bolting away from you, just in general, maybe mouthing, jumping, all the little normal things that can...
Nipping at the kids. I've heard
very
a few
much.
stories about that.
Yeah, very much, yeah.
With those needle puppy teeth, yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it bit me, Mama.
You have to remember, puppies are like tiny little babies. You wouldn't just let a toddler go in the house while you took off to the grocery store, right? You have to confine the dog's crating is very, very important. Even for an older rescue dog when he comes home. Should be crated, should be treated like a puppy, no matter what.
And then there's someone who's going to say to you, and I can be a great devil's advocate here, crates? That's cruel. What do you mean lock the dog up in a crate? Well, how would you respond?
Dogs are naturally denning animals. They don't mind being safe in their safe haven. They need a place to go to where they can get away from kids or another dog or whatever, a place that they feel comfortable and safe in.
Safety zone. But the other side of that is the people who use the crate as a, you bad dog, you peed in the house, get in your crate.
Right, it's not a punishment. It shouldn't ever be a punishment. You could put the dog into the crate. What's important too is to crate the dog also when you're home, even when you're just putzing around the house. Put the dog in the crate for a little while, because if you only crate the dog only when you leave, that can leave it open for some separation anxiety coming. And that's a whole other issue right there. You don't want to get into that.
No, believe me, you don't. So, I mean, I remember with mine, when I started them in crates, I always had a special treat that was only for when you went into the crate.
Yeah, make it fun.
It was fun. It was a good time. There was a chewy toy in there. Crate size?
Well, if it's a baby puppy, just enough room to where they can't like get up and turn around and lay down would be good. They should not be able to go to the other side of the crate, have an accident, and then not be like in it. Okay, the reason how they're going to learn to hold it is they don't like to be in their, in their pee or their
dogs.
They like to be dirty.
They don't defecate and urinate where they sleep.
Or where they eat.
Or where they eat.
Right, so you can feed them in there too to help them understand that the crate is it's not your personal bathroom, But there has to be enough, not enough room where they can go and do that and be comfortable.
Right. But the dog should be able to stand up in the crate?
Oh yeah, stand up, turn around, lay down, maybe stretch out a little bit.
Yeah. So that it's not too confining either.
Right.
And it should not be in that crate for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours either.
No. A rule of thumb to go with a puppy is they can learn to hold it basically a half an hour per week of age. Okay, so if they're 8 weeks old, they should be able to make 4 hours. You know what I mean?
A half an hour per
week of age.
So if they're 8 weeks old, 4 hours.
Yeah, you could usually expect a good 4 hours out of them. So figure you're going to be up at 4 in the morning if you put them to bed at midnight.
Wonderful.
Some do much better. A lot do better, but that's just a quick idea to kind of
it's called being kind and not asking whatever. And a crate does answer a lot of issues. The issue of chewing. How about chewing? When they're out and they're all of a sudden they walk in smiling all over, wagging that tail and saying, "Look what I found. It smells like your foot, and it's made of leather, and it's got these strings hanging off it. It's delicious."
Yeah, they like doing that, don't they?
So what do you do to teach a dog that there are appropriate things and not appropriate things to chew?
At the very beginning, that dog should be attached to your hip, literally, if it's a puppy. Even a rescue dog first from home. When I get a new dog and their leash is on them and they're attached to me, I'll put my foot through the little handle, and where I go, they go, so they do not get the chance to do anything wrong. It helps with housebreaking, because if you see them squatting, you would hurry up and get them outside. They can't sneak off behind the couch or behind a chair and have an accident. They can't grab anything unless you're right there with them. So if you should be able to physically, somebody in the house, have that dog at their side.
All the time.
All the time, so they don't learn that they can go for these things. And if they do, just, tell them no and give them something that
nice.
They should.
Yeah. And it's replacing it all.
Right.
Always
You can't give them too much freedom. That's a big mistake. Everybody wants the little puppy to be feeling at home, so they give them
around the house.
Right. They give them full reign of the house, and then all of a sudden we got problems because they go into a room and it's like, oh my God, when did they do that? Well, he should not have had that freedom at all.
That's right. And basically the crate or with you.
Right.
And then you really don't have those problems. But eventually that dog's going to start finding stuff. You're going to let the dog loose, and the dog's going to find teething stuff. 6 months, 8 months, the adolescent years. Yes.
The teenage years, yeah.
Yes.
When you hit 8, 9 months.
The hardest time with the dog.
That's why training as a young puppy is good, because even though that they still do go through adolescence, and that's going to hit. I mean, they're going to be teenagers. But at least you have something to fall back on. The basics built in there on them.
Okay. Now we're going to go a little bit, and Chris, you're being real quiet.
I know.
You're being real quiet.
I know, I am.
We're going to go to older dogs, and dogs, okay, I brought a dog home at 9 months old who had lots and lots of bad habits. I don't know what puts dogs in shelters most outside of inappropriate biting, and that's a toughie. That really is a toughie. I don't have an easy answer for biters. Unless you want a dog so badly that you're willing to take that dog and work till it stops biting you and then confine it every time anybody ever comes into your house, which is really the only way, because a biter is a biter.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yes, I agree,
Okay.
totally.
But outside of inappropriate biting, its lack of house training is one of the big reasons that they come into shelters. Cats as well as dogs, interestingly enough.
Well, the first thing that when you go into a shelter, you got to learn that you're not going to adopt with your heart right off the bat, okay? Because everyone will walk in and say, "Oh my God, look at that cute puppy," okay? Well, you got to go in there, maybe have a little education, know your breeds. Don't get a border collie mix if all you're going to do is want a couch potato, okay? You have to know your breed when you go in there. And all because a dog is in the shelter doesn't necessarily mean that they're damaged, okay? Doesn't mean that they were abused. They could have had a wonderful owner, but nowadays they're given up because of just the economy. So they might have had great owners, so they might be great dogs. So you can't go in there with the mindset that every rescue is going to be a problem, because it may not. You just don't know what you're getting until you get it home. And then, go ahead.
And when they get new owners, the new owners have to show love for the dog also.
Definitely, and you can't get
to show that they're not bad dogs.
Right.
And they could still.
Let's say a dog comes in and seems afraid of men. Now, all of a sudden, everyone's going to say, "Oh, that dog was abused by a man, so don't go anywhere near him." Well, that's an excuse for the dog. You don't have to have that feeling. Go in, and when men come over, have a hot dog out there. Get a treat they can't resist, and teach the dog to know that these guys aren't all bad. Because a lot of times it may have been an experience that made them that way, shy, but it doesn't mean that they were abused, all the way.
Okay, now I want to stop you for a second and go to Chris, who has been training with you, which is why he's here, And he had the experience of watching a dog turn. What was that all about, Chris?
Well, it was a dog, Mozzie, right? Yeah. And what, he was 5 months?
Right.
5 months old. And it didn't know anything. It didn't know sit, down, stay, or anything.
Or even walking on a leash.
Yeah, or walking. But after a couple weeks, I taught it. I would train it. I taught it down, sit, stay, come, the basic
And he
things
was
for a
even
dog.
teaching them, that got to the part where he was even teaching them to down on coming.
Yeah.
You know, right
And
out in
when-
the middle of the floor, just tell the dog to down, and bam, he went down.
Yeah. So it shows the dogs, you just need time.
How did it feel for you to be able to do that, to teach a dog to do all those things and have it respond the way that it did?
It was cool. It was definitely a good experience, and I don't know.
Yeah.
You
It
did
was-
great.
yeah.
You did really,
Cool
really
thing.
good.
Yeah.
And it's not that hard. It's,
No,
it's
yeah,
time.
you just need to take
you
time.
have to spend the
and-
time with it.
Time and patience.
Yeah,
guys.
exactly.
And one of the things that's wonderful
Lot
about
of
Jenny
patience.
is that
Yeah, a lot of
kindness,
patience.
love, and time.
Yeah.
Is that Jenny will, I mean, if you can go, if you got the time and you got the will and you're willing to take the dog and you're willing to go to school and all of those things, that's one option. For those of you who don't have the time or don't have the capacity to do that, this is another approach. After the dog is trained, Jenny will train you. Believe me. She will train you to work with that dog once that dog knows how to work, so that you will become a working, bonded pair afterward. But this is another way to avoid the, oh my God, I got this dog, I'm so sorry, I don't want it, let's get rid of it.
Yeah.
And working out of my house, it's not in a training, like a kennel environment. It's out of my house. So if the dog is having problems jumping on counters or going into the garbage cans or stealing the toilet paper or whatever it is, I can duplicate that at my house. Whereas in a regular kennel facility, you can't do that. They don't have, it's not a house there. Here I have a
once
house.
went out and came home and my puppy had taken the end of the toilet paper roll and carried it into the living room, around a plant, into the dining room, never broke it. An entire roll of toilet paper. You could follow the track of the dog all the way through. It was just wonderful. In any case, this is an alternative. Dogs are not bad. Owners are bad. Sorry, folks. But sometimes you need help to let a dog be the good dog that he is inside. Jenny,
Let's bring it out in them.
give people your
Yeah.
phone number so that if they've got questions, they can reach you.
Sure. Okay, it's Praise Dog Training, 847-809-0940,
Website.
praisedogtraining.net, and you can also look us up on Facebook at Praise Dog Training. That's probably the one I keep the most updated.
So there's all kinds of ways for you to go and approach this and get the information you need. I think we're out of time, guys, so we are now going to take you to Save a Pet and show you some of the dogs and cats that are available there for adoption.
Don't give up. Call me.